Hey guys, what's up? This is the College Football Experience. We are here.
And here we go with another episode of the Extra Points podcast with the College Football Experience. We are the College Football Experience. I am Gus. That is Will. And baby, we are less than 10 days. We're 8 days away from college football. And man, I am so pumped. Week 0. Some people say it don't count, but it counts around here because when toe meets leather, college football is here. Will Bates, baby, it's been a long time since we've talked, but I'm glad to be back with you, man. How you been?
Been great, man. We're less than a week away from the start of college football. We got Florida State, Georgia Tech next week, man. So it's officially here.
That's honestly a little sneaky game too. That's a sneaky game. Some people are giving the Yellow Jackets a little buzz.
I would hope,
They're
dude.
giving them a little buzz.
That would make my week 0 awesome.
I would love to see Florida State lose. I mean, what a start of the season that would be. But with college football coming around the corner, we've been seeing those subscriber numbers kind of tick up a little bit. So our goal is to get to 100. So if y'all are listening, go to YouTube and subscribe at the College Football Experience. That would be great. We have all of our campus videos from last year, Auburn, Alabama, and LSU. Those were all great experiences where we got to see those teams play, get experience of town and the campus. And we will be going to Miami versus Florida week 1, one of the hottest tickets in the country. Will's a big Florida fan. That will be so much fun. It isn't our first time in the swamp, but it's going to be our first time taking y'all with us. So be on the lookout for that video at the end of week 1 going into week 2. I will do my best to get it out as soon as we get back. But Will, do you want to tell them what we're talking about tonight, my friend?
Yeah, man. So look, we're going to do some conference predictions, and then we're going to do the playoffs. I'm going to be honest with you. It was kind of hard to do 12 teams.
And
just because there's
I think what makes it hard,
you could pick between 8 teams to like throw in there the last little 3 or 4 spots.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough, man, but it's fun doing these conference predictions and to see, if you can get them right or not. Because you do have some automatics, but sometimes some teams surprise you. Yeah. And I do think there is a toss-up Power 4 conference. So I'm interested to see what you pick for that one. Yeah, this should be a fun little episode. I enjoy this type of talk because this kind of means that we're kind of right around the corner and we're getting close to kickoff.
There's one thing about the playoffs whenever we start talking about the seeding and our predictions for the playoffs that I'm not sure how things are going to play out, but that's something we can talk about in a second. We're going to start talking about, though, who do we think is going to win the SEC? And I mean, this conference with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, with Alabama losing Saban, with Georgia losing a bunch of players to the portal, but still getting players. You have Kirby Smart saying this is their least deep team that he's felt that he's had in a while. And like, I don't believe him either. But just him saying like, oh, we're struggling with our depth. And then you got teams like Missouri that came up last year that still look like they can still remain. You got teams like Tennessee that have reloaded. They got Nico coming in at quarterback. You have the question mark with Texas coming in. You got Auburn. You got Florida. There's just so many aspects of the SEC. And I didn't even mention Ole Miss loading up in the transfer portal. I mean, there's so many players in the SEC that I think this is going to be the hardest conference to predict this season just because there's so many players. So who do you think are legitimate contenders to make the title game? And then who do you think is going to make it and who do you think is going to win it?
So I think you can kind of put them in tiers, right? I think you got the elite, and I think there's only one elite, and it's Georgia. You could maybe put Texas there. It's just going to be their first year in the conference, so it's hard for me to put them in the elite category.
That's fair.
But then you got tier 2. So these are the teams that can make it, I think. Texas, Alabama, Missouri, Ole Miss, LSU. Those are the other teams. dude, they just hadn't shown me that they can win the big game consistently. Can they compete with the other teams? I just don't know about Nico yet. Just hadn't had enough, sample size of him yet.
That's
But
fair.
those are the teams that I think that can make it. Ultimately, I think it will be Texas to play the Dogs in a rematch in Atlanta. Um, I think Missouri
Who's
could
gonna
sneak
win?
just because of their
Yeah,
schedule.
it's a
Just because
joke.
it's the easiest SEC schedule I've ever seen. I'm a little jealous of it. But I'm gonna go Georgia versus Texas. Georgia beats Texas for the second time
Ooh,
in Atlanta.
that'll. I mean, I think that'd be a little tough look for Sark, but I'm in the same boat as you. I think teams that have a legitimate shot to make the game. Of course, you have to go Georgia. You have to go Tennessee. I think you have to go Tennessee in there just because I think that their defense is going to be really good this year. And when you have a potential elite quarterback on your roster, you have a chance because I think that I'm picking him to win the Heisman. That's just my rogue. That's just my rogue take of the year. So if I think that, Nico is going to win the Heisman, I have to say that they have a chance of making the SEC championship game. And you hit the rest on the head. Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri, and I mean, you could maybe. I don't really think there's anyone else that's like they're going. I mean, you could say LSU, but I just don't believe in their defense at this point. And for my SEC championship game, I'm going Tennessee versus Georgia in a rematch. And I'm going to say
Oof.
Georgia beats them for the first time this season. So they get revenge
First
on
time.
Tennessee. They get
You
revenge
think
on
Georgia loses to them in the regular season in Athens, right?
if
Or is it
I'm
Knoxville?
saying Nico's winning the Heisman, he's going into Athens and he's beating the Dogs. Oh,
Woo.
this is
That
talking
is
season.
a
I'm
that
blowing
is a
smoke.
Heisman. That would
Yeah,
be a Heisman moment for him.
exactly. So
I mean,
if I'm if I'm gonna put my anchor on the Nico ship, he's going into Athens. That's what he would have to do to win the Heisman. He would have to go upset Georgia on the road. So, but I think the second time you play Kirby Smart, he's gonna have you figured out. So I think Georgia beats Tennessee in the SEC championship game. Let's move on though to the Big Ten. This I think this is the conference that could go kind of chalk. I mean, I think this is a conference because really
it's top
if
heavy, like extremely top heavy.
is very, very, very top heavy. You have Ohio State and you have Oregon. And
Yeah.
then you kind of have the tier two where it
Penn
could be Penn
State,
State, it could be Michigan,
Michigan. Yeah.
and then maybe you could have a Nebraska jump up there. You could maybe have a USC jump up there. You could
Maybe.
maybe have an Iowa if their offense gets a pulse this year. They could jump up there. And then really outside of that, I mean, I don't really know of any teams that I think could really threaten to make the championship game.
Yeah, I don't really, this is a two-team league this year. It seems like it from just the what happened in the preseason. Just Penn State, Michigan, possibly. They would need some. God, Penn State would finally have the breakthrough to make it. But like everybody else, I just don't know about USC and their defense. I just don't trust
Right.
them. You don't know about their quarterback. And then, man, Nebraska's they just got to show me, can they win the big games? Can they show up? I mean, it's that they're starting to roll in the talent. I still think they're 2 years away from really
Yeah.
competing, like
Yeah.
really competing for that next tier. I don't think they're like close to Ohio State or Oregon yet, but
No.
they're closer to that tier two than anything. So this was pretty easy for me.
Just
Ohio
chalk.
State and Oregon. I
Yep.
mean, this is and whoever loses the first time is going to win the second time.
So Ohio State's going on the road to Oregon October
Yes.
12th. So
Unfortunately, I think they might get the L. I think during their prediction thing, I said they would probably win that game.
mhm.
But the closer we're getting to it, that's an early game. I think they might drop it. Just new
It's a pot,
quarterback.
and it's
Uh,
hard to win on the
new,
road. It's so hard to win on
yes,
the
and
road.
that's a hard place to win. So
Yeah,
I think
lots of.
Ohio State wins the Big Ten though this year. I think they get off Ryan Day, and he gets that Big Ten championship.
I think I'm going that as well. Ohio State versus Oregon. I could see it being if the Michigan quarterback situation plays out the in the best possible scenario for Michigan, then I think we could get Ohio State, Michigan twice because Oregon goes to Michigan now. So, I mean, they have to play Ohio State and they have to play Michigan and they have to play Wisconsin. So, I mean, there's possibilities for them to be 9-3. There's possibilities for them to be 10-2 and miss out on the title game. But with the question of quarterback at the University of Michigan, I am also going to go Ohio State versus Oregon. And with the roster that Ohio State has, with the coaching that Ohio State has, I mean, I think they might have possibly the best OC and DC combo in the country this year. I mean, Chip Kelly with those running backs, with that quarterback, with that wide receiver room, man, that could be scary. So I'm going to go Ohio State wins the Big Ten. Now getting into some conferences that are a bit more wild and unpredictable, specifically this last one. But first, we're going to jump to the ACC. I mean, yeah,
I think this one's kind of straight up, man. I think there's three teams that can really win it.
with
And I think
possibly a sneaky fourth.
yeah, I think it's Florida State, Clemson, Miami, and then you got a fourth team, Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
I think Virginia Tech's the fourth team. You might have a different fourth team, but they're my fourth team. But I think those other three they should be better than the other teams. Now,
And I
these
think
teams have lost crazy ways these games. Like Miami, they find a way to lose sometimes.
yeah,
So, but I'm going to go Clemson State. They're going to play each other twice, and Clemson's going to win it this year. They're going to get back on top.
Clemson back on top. I'm in the same boat as you in a sense of that my fourth team is Virginia Tech. Their schedule up to the Clemson game, which is Virginia Tech's ninth game of the season, they have a chance if everything goes right to be 8-0 going into that Clemson game. And if I'm going to tell you now, if the Hokies are 8-0 and you have Clemson coming into town,
College game day, bro.
I might be buying a ticket to that game and driving up to Blacksburg. It's honestly a beautiful drive too. So
When is that? When is that game?
it's either week 9 or week 10, but it's Virginia Tech's ninth game of this season.
So like late October?
It's either going to be late October or early November. Either one.
Might be a surprise college football experience.
Might be a surprise trip to Blacksburg, baby. But I don't think they're going to make that ACC championship game. So I'm going Miami, who I think will probably be the best team in the ACC this year. Yeah, their
schedule sets up for it too.
And, I mean, they've loaded up along the line of scrimmage. And they have their quarterback. They have probably the best quarterback in the ACC. So I'm going with the quarterback play, and I'm going with the line of scrimmage. I'm going with Miami versus Clemson, who, for all accounts to spring ball, all accounts to fall ball, says that their offensive line looks a lot better. Their wide receiver room looks a lot more diversified with height, weight, speed. But just depending on can Cade Klubnik and Garrett Riley break through. But I don't think they can this year. I'm going Miami to win the ACC. They'll probably be 10-2 to 11-1, just because you're going to have a Mario Cristobal oof moment this season, because there always seems to be one where he just screws up coaching.
I hope it's live while I'm there. That'd be nice.
August 31st. That's the only game I hope that Miami loses in the regular season. Let's say that.
I can tell you this, dude. Cam Ward's not very good on the road, and this is going to be the toughest game he's ever played. And
He's
I
ever
know we're
played.
not talking about that game, but God,
It'll be loud.
it's going to be crazy,
loud.
dude.
It'll be hot.
We'll know. We will know a lot about Miami after that. We'll know a lot about Miami after that game.
Yeah,
They come in and win, they
That's
might
me.
go undefeated, dude.
Because Florida hasn't lost a home and opener since, is it the 80s or the 90s?
It's the 80s.
That's wild. That's almost 40 years. That's almost 40 games opening at home.
Yeah, but Florida really for a long time didn't play people like this at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Of course that streak can get extended like that when you don't play teams like this all the time.
Yeah.
So
scrub teams to open the season. So you got Clemson, I got Miami. The Big 12. I mean, this is the league we've been kind of hinting towards, of like, there's 8 or 9 teams that you could argue have a shot at winning this league, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but this league could be so crazy that freaking Colorado could win it. And they suck.
I love it, dude. I love it. I love that this league is like this, man. It's going to be fun to watch.
I mean, just because you have all of those G5 teams that came up, you have the Pac-12 teams that came over, and then you have the rest with the Texas and Oklahoma, them leaving. You have the rest of the Big 12 that's been just left there. But, I mean, there's so many teams. I mean, just to name them off the top of my head, you got Kansas State, you got Utah, you got Kansas, you got Oklahoma State, you got TCU, you got UCF, you got Arizona, you got Colorado, Iowa State. I mean, there's just so many teams that I think could win this league. And there's probably some I'm missing. I mean, you even have Texas Tech that are a possibility. But I think that the 2 teams that are going to make this title game are Utah and Kansas State. And then I think the Utes with the 40-year-old quarterback, Cam Rising, are going to win this conference, their first league, their first year in the league.
Oh, good Lord, man. I hate that we're kind of agreeing right here. I do have a different team, though. Can you guess my other team? Utah is one of them. Can you guess my other team?
UCF.
No.
Colorado.
I do think they're going to be. No, I do think they're going to be good. The Cowboys.
Oklahoma State's a great pick.
Yes.
Oklahoma State's a
Cowboys
pick.
They're going to have a great year this year, but they're going to lose to the Utes in the championship game. Utah just has the quarterback. They got the team. They got the coaching. I think it's going to be a great, fun, exciting year in the Big 12, but I do think Utah beats the Cowboys in the championship game. I love Oklahoma State, but Utah is going to get it done.
I mean, that would be such a fun game just because I think that those programs kind of mirror each other well. I mean, they're both gritty. They're both like a little off of the grid. They're both, I mean, they just have that vibe to them. So I think that we both got Utah winning. So
yep,
I think that'll be good. So then with all those predictions, we know that the 12-team playoff is here. And even though I absolutely hate it, we have to just kind of embrace it. And even though it sucks, I didn't want it. It's here. So we got to make the best of the sport that we love. So since we've picked the 4 champions, how are those going to get seeded for you?
Georgia 1, Ohio
Mhm.
State 2, Clemson 3, Utah 4.
Okay. That means I'm in the same boat as you. Besides, I have Georgia 1, gonna have Ohio State 2. Those honestly could get flipped either way. I mean,
Yeah.
because I think those are gonna be the 2
Mhm.
best teams the whole entire season. So,
Those will be off
1,
of eye
2.
test pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, those will be off of an eye test. It would probably be Georgia because of their strength of schedule. If they have the same record, it would probably be Georgia because of their strength of schedule. And then I got Miami at 3, the ACC champ, and the Big 12 champ Utah at 4. And then this is the interesting part. We don't know how the committee is going to treat the teams that played in the conference championship games and lost, because those are always pretty highly ranked teams, especially in the Big Ten, and especially, well, not typically in the Big Ten because the West sucked forever, but typically in like the SECs, and then sometimes in the Pac 12, sometimes in the Big 12. They were highly ranked teams, like fifth, sixth, seventh ranked teams. So what's going to happen to those second place runner ups?
Again, I think it's an eye test. I think it's how they look, how they played. Um, I don't think they're going to punish them that much. So, like for
I
me, I
don't
got
really see how they can
Texas.
punish them at all.
Like for me, I got Texas 5th, and then
Mhm,
Oregon 6th. I think
mhm.
they're going to really be forgiving to those teams because they are playing an extra game. The only one I could see that I kind of punished a little bit was Oklahoma State, but I still think they're going to be right in this ranking anyway. So, like, I
Yep.
got Alabama 7th, Penn State 8th, Oklahoma State 9th.
Okay. See, so,
Then Missouri 10th,
ooh, the
Florida
Tigers.
State 11th, Liberty 12th.
Yeah, see. I have Georgia and Ohio State. You could flip flop on 1, 2. Then I got Miami 3. Then I got Utah 4. Then the SEC, the Big 12, I mean the Big 10 and the ACC, those runner ups in the conference championship games, I don't think you can punish them for making and being forced to play a game, especially in the 12 team playoff. So I got Tennessee at 5, Oregon at 6, Clemson at 7, Notre Dame at 8. I could see the Irish being the 5th seed if they're undefeated. That's the only reason I could put them above the second places. Then I got Texas 9, Bama 10, Penn State 11, Liberty 12. I could also see Michigan being the 11 seed, but
Yeah.
I went with Penn State. And then of course you have to go Liberty for the G5 because they don't play a Power 5 team. Their schedule is an absolute joke. They're more than likely going to be undefeated. They play in one of the worst G5 conferences. So I mean,
Yeah.
you have to go to the
That's the only
Flames as
thing I don't
well.
like about this 12-team playoff. It sets up for a G5 to make it. Don't really think it's like that's needs to be like it has to happen. It needs to be if the committee feels this team is good enough, their schedule passes the eye test, like yes, we're going to give them opportunity. It doesn't need to be forced. Like
Right.
you're literally setting up for Texas to have a pretty much an easy game. I mean,
An absolute
or
cakewalk with the
whoever,
5th seed.
a fifth a fifth seed's going to get an incredible advantage getting to play a
Yeah.
team like that.
Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong, you got to show up, you got to play. You got to play
Very true.
hard. But god dang, I would much rather play Liberty than have to play Penn State at home or Missouri at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's
so
it is what it is. But that's the only thing I don't like about this is they're forcing the G5 to like you're going to get an opportunity to play in this. I don't really like that.
which sucks because then you have a team, say if Florida went 8-4. You freaking know what
Yeah, they're not.
Liberty would do with Florida's schedule? They would probably
Yeah.
go 3-9 or 2-10, possibly 1-11. They would get
Yeah.
smoked. They would get
Yeah.
smoked every week.
Yeah.
I mean, but then when you do look at these potential matchups, so with the way that all of my seeding would work out, you would have Liberty playing at Tennessee, Penn State playing at Oregon, you would have Bama playing at Clemson, and Texas playing at Notre Dame. Those would be really cool games besides Liberty going to Tennessee. That one would honestly be about 70-10, maybe. Absolute slaughter. But I would love to go to a home playoff game. I would love to see one of those in person. I mean, the angst, the electricity in the atmosphere, I don't think we would have seen anything like it besides maybe like a giant rivalry game with everything on the line. But that just sucks that we have to give up stuff in the regular season to get that in the postseason. But that's a conversation for another day.
I think it'd be fun, dude. Like if Tennessee hosted a playoff game, that'd be fun to drive up to
That
and
would
check it
that would
out.
be
Or
really fun.
Clemson
Or
was hosting, or
mhm,
if Florida State could get their stadium finished by then and they would host one.
mhm,
I don't think Georgia's going to get to host. I think they're going to be too highly ranked,
mhm.
which I wish the second round was home playoff games too.
I wish
Um,
I wish every round was at home besides the championship game, and then I wish the championship game was played at either in like Atlanta, New Orleans, Dallas, Indianapolis,
Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl. You could play it in Minneapolis. They have a really big, nice stadium. I mean, you could play it all over the country. Just it would have to be in a dome stadium or out in beautiful Southern California.
Yeah. It's definitely gonna be interesting for sure. I do think we get some interesting matchups in that first round.
Hmm.
Some games that we've never seen, dude. It would be awesome
Yeah.
to get to see like a rivalry, the intensity in a playoff game, dude. Gosh, that'd
How
be awesome.
how wild would it be if, like, say, in the future, Auburn and Alabama, same side of the bracket, and they do change it to where, like, the second round is at home, and like somehow Alabama comes to Auburn, or or
Dude, that would be the
or
loudest Jordan Hare's ever been.
or you have Florida and Georgia on the same side,
I know, dude. I know, dude. And one of
and
them had to
then
go
you
to the
have
other stadium,
and
like
and
you
and
had
then
to.
and then you have Florida has to go into Athens in the second round to possibly go to like a semifinal or something like that. If that's just the way that they end up doing it, the,
God, that would be
I
awesome.
I would pay $1,000 to go see that game. I would pay a
That
thousand
would be
dollars to see it.
crazy. That I mean, that is a perk of this playoff is you might get to see
Yeah,
a
you
game
you
like
might.
that.
God,
You
that'd
know,
be
you would
crazy.
need Georgia to lose the SEC championship and Florida to sneak in
Yep. Yeah, man.
for
But
that to happen.
yeah, but with the season right around the corner, we're going to be bringing y'all more and more and more episodes. We will be back next week to probably talk some week 0 and then maybe just a look ahead to a couple games in week 1, be able to preview our trip to Florida. Well, man, it's always nice getting to talk to you. And this is the Extra Point Podcast with the College Football Experience. We are the College Football Experience, and we will talk to y'all next time.